The choir sang joyfully that bright Sunday morning in Lagos as Daniel and Prisca stood before the altar of Christ Light Assembly Church. Their smiles glowed with the kind of happiness that made everyone believe love was truly a beautiful thing. The pastor's voice echoed through the hall as he asked, "Do you, Daniel, take Prisca to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Daniel answered confidently, "I do." Prisca, blushing, whispered, "I do." The church erupted in applause. Yet, behind those vows, neither of them fully understood what lay ahead. After the ceremony, the reception was filled with music, laughter, and endless dancing. Prisca's friends teased her about how handsome her husband was. "Your husband looks like he'll never let you rest," one joked, and Prisca laughed shyly. Across the room, Daniel's friends teased him too. His best man nudged him, saying, "So tonight's the night, eh?" Daniel grinned proudly and replied, "Bro, I've waited for this day for months." That night, when they were alone in their hotel room, Prisca felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. She tried to delay things a bit, saying softly, "Maybe we should just rest first, it's been a long day." Daniel chuckled and drew closer. "Rest? No, sweetheart. I've waited for too long." He pulled her close, and though she gave in, she quickly realized he was far more energetic than she had imagined. By dawn, she was completely drained, unsure of what to make of her new reality. Their honeymoon in Ibadan wasn't much different. Prisca tried to start conversations, suggesting walks and exploring the city, but Daniel always turned the moments toward intimacy. "Later, babe," he would say. "Come here first." She smiled to please him but felt unseen, as if their entire marriage was built on physical desire rather than emotional connection. When they returned to Lagos, Prisca prepared their new home beautifully. She made his favorite soup and waited eagerly for him to return from work. When Daniel walked in, she smiled and said, "Welcome home, love. I made your favorite." But Daniel hugged her tightly and replied, Nice. But I missed you too much." He ignored the food entirely, dragging her straight to the bedroom. Within days, the excitement of marriage turned to exhaustion. Prisca confided in her close friend Linda, telling her that Daniel never seemed to get tired or think of anything other than sex. "It's like I'm married to his desire, not his heart," she said sadly. Linda tried to comfort her. "Men are like that sometimes. Don't push him away too much. You don't want to cause trouble." Prisca nodded, though her heart grew heavier. That night, when Daniel reached for her again, she turned away, whispering that she wasn't in the mood. Daniel's voice hardened. "Not again. You're my wife, Prisca. You should be available." She replied quietly, "I'm not saying no forever, Daniel. Just tonight." He stood up angrily and left the room, slamming the door. They went to church that Sunday and pretended everything was fine. During the sermon, the pastor preached on patience, forgiveness, and self-control in marriage. Prisca glanced at Daniel, but he looked away. At dinner that evening, silence filled the air. Prisca asked gently, "Are we okay?" Daniel replied, "We will be, when you stop acting like intimacy is a sin." Prisca dropped her spoon in frustration, unsure what else to say. She visited her mother a few days later, pouring out her heart. "Mummy, it's not about patience. I just don't have peace anymore," she said. Her mother sighed and told her to endure, reminding her that marriage wasn't easy. But Prisca knew this wasn't normal. She was suffocating. Meanwhile, Daniel complained to his friend Kunle. "I can't understand her. She avoids me like a stranger." Kunle advised him to give her space, but Daniel only frowned. "Space? She's my wife. What's space got to do with it?" The tension grew until one night, Prisca locked herself in the guest room. Daniel banged on the door, shouting, "Prisca, open this door." She replied, "I need to breathe." He yelled back, "So that's it. You'll deny me again." Then, in frustration, he blurted, "Maybe I should have tested things before marrying you." His words cut deep. Prisca wept quietly behind the door. That night, she prayed, "God, I thought this was love. But I'm not happy. I need peace. The next morning, while Daniel was still asleep, she packed her things. When he woke up, he found the bed empty and a note on the table. I need space to find myself again. This isn't marriage. It's prison. Prisca. Neighbors soon began to whisper. That new couple already separated. One said, marriage built on show, not understanding, another replied. Daniel felt humiliated and angry. At work, he told his colleagues, she was weak, she couldn't handle me. One of them quietly said, or maybe you didn't handle her right. Daniel ignored the comment, too proud to accept blame. He decided he would never follow church rules again. Next time, I'll do it my way, he told Kunle. No more waiting. I'll test things before marriage. Kunle tried to reason with him, but Daniel wouldn't listen. Months later, he met Tina, a lively woman who seemed to match his energy. They married quickly. For a while, everything seemed perfect, but soon, history repeated itself. Arguments, exhaustion, and frustration returned. Tina left after 6 months, calling him too demanding. Then came Ifeoma, soft-spoken and kind. Daniel promised to change, but he didn't. A year later, she left too. Finally, he met Bola, confident and outspoken. She lasted only 3 weeks before packing up and disappearing without a word. Alone again, Daniel sat in his apartment surrounded by pictures from his failed marriages. He poured himself a drink and muttered, "What is wrong with these women?" But deep inside, a quiet voice asked, "What is wrong with you?" One evening, he received a text from Kunle inviting him to a marriage seminar at their old church. Reluctantly, Daniel went. The pastor's words pierced through him like a blade. Lust builds nothing. Self-control is the foundation of love. Marriage without discipline becomes slavery. Daniel bowed his head, tears falling silently. After the service, he approached the pastor. "I destroyed my marriages. I blamed everyone but myself. I thought waiting before marriage was my mistake, but now I see my heart was never surrendered to God." The pastor placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "The waiting wasn't your sin, son. Your impatience was. God forgives, but you must learn to master your desires." From that day, Daniel began to change. He joined a men's fellowship, started therapy, and returned to Bible study. Slowly, peace began to replace the chaos in his heart. One afternoon, he ran into Prisca at a bookshop. For a moment, time froze. "Prisca," he said softly. She looked at him calmly and replied, "Daniel." They talked briefly. He admitted his faults and told her, "You were right. I confused lust for love." She smiled gently and said, "I forgave you long ago. I just hope you've found peace." Daniel nodded. "I'm finding it now," he said quietly. Years later, Daniel became a counselor at the same church where his marriage had begun. He spoke passionately to young men and women about self-control and godly love. "Don't marry because you're burning with desire," he would say. "Marry because you're ready to love. Sex doesn't build marriage, character does." He never remarried again but found purpose in helping others. His ministry grew, and many couples found healing through his guidance. One night, in his quiet living room, Daniel sat with his journal and wrote, "I learned too late that God's laws are not punishment but protection. Every pleasure without control destroys purpose. Love is patient, love is pure, and real love begins where selfishness ends." He closed his Bible, whispered a prayer, and smiled peacefully. For the first time in years, he felt truly free. Moral: waiting is not weakness, it is wisdom. True love honors God's timing and thrives on self-control. When lust rules, love dies, but when love leads, desire follows beautifully. When desire outran love is a story of passion, faith, and the price of disobedience.